It's late fall, and these are our Japanese red maple trees in our yard, and they have great color. In this video, you'll learn how we get that great color.
Hello, my name is Mike Hurst from Highlandsville Farm. Today we have in front of us a Japanese leafy maple, and I'm going to tell you how to water and how to fertilize it. When we fertilize our plants, we usually fertilize them about once or twice a year. The first time is just to make sure that it's the right color, and the second time is for the next year's growth. The reason that we are concerned about fertilizing for next year's growth is that a Japanese maple is considered to be a determinate plant. A determinate plant means that each and every year that when it grows out, there's a determinate amount of leaves and stem that can be formed. And that the determined amount of leaves and stem formed is determined by last year's growing season. If the growing season from last year was a good growing season, the plant makes many new leaves and stem parts for the next year. And those leaves and stems are stored in the bud. So when the bud forms, it's very important that it has enough water and enough fertilizer in the system of the plant to make lots of new parts for next year. When we fertilize for next year, we usually fertilize in about early August. That way that the fertilizer can get into the soil and get into the plant system. Because in about late August and into the fall time is when the buds start to form. And when we use fertilizer, we use a slow-release fertilizer called Osmocote, and we just do a broadcast fertilizer just on the top of the plant on the surface. We don't ever put any fertilizer injections or any of the liquid type of, and we just use the granulated form that slowly releases over time. Usually, Osmocote comes in different colors for different years, and we can see here we have some green and we have some white. The green stuff's from this year, the white stuff's from the other year. That way we know if we fertilized it or not. And when we fertilize, this is just an example of some Osmocote, we just pour it in our hand and we just do a light broadcast just over the top. Kind of like that, just making sure that there's enough fertilizer on there for it to last most of the year. The Osmocote comes in different kinds. You have to read a label for how long each one lasts and for the strength. The other topic we're going to talk about is how to water these guys one after you plant them. When you plant them, you should make sure that when you dig the hole out, just dig it a little bit wider than the pot itself, so that when you set the pot into the ground, there's a good gap between it, and you can fill in the dirt in between the pot, the plant, and the surrounding soil, making sure that there's no air pockets in there. You don't want to compact the soil around. You just want to use your shovel to work the soil into the ground, getting rid of all the air pockets. After that, give it some water. That way it settles nicely. And after planting, make sure you go back and keep the ball moist. It's important to keep the ball moist, not overly wet or overly dry. If it's overly wet, there is no oxygen that gets into the soil, and then the root starts to rot and it dies. The whole plant dies. If it's too dry, the roots no longer grow and the plant wilts, and roots don't have cuticles on them, so once they dry out, they're toasted. So just make sure that keep it moist, and the plant should do fine. If you have any questions about the Japanese maple, just give us a call at 215-651-8329. Thank you.